What's good, everybody? My name is Alckemy. Welcome to the channel. I imagine most of you all know who I am, so I will skip the introductions for today. I am going to be working on the community sample pack, and if at any point in time you guys have a request over something, then I'll try to incorporate it and add it in. Someone on the Discord requested Foley. I can't do that in the DAW. I'd have to go around and record stuff from around sources, so I don't really have a way that I can do that. The Rode mic that I have, I think, is pretty fantastic for voiceovers and stuff, but the Tascam that I have, I think, is a little bit more of a shotgun mic. So if I'm going to record some samples and stuff, I think that I'm going to record in that way. Straight, what up, man? I saw your post on Discord, so we'll probably be opening up with kicks and snares. If you have genre requests for kicks, that would be most helpful to me. Hello, Wiggles. How are you? Let's go ahead and start a new project. There might be a slight chance I might put on some background music. Well, I'd have to listen to my own music, but just because today is likely going to be a long stream. We'll see. I made a deep woods trek and had a lighting experience with a deer this morning and wrote a poem. Dude, that's fucking awesome. Really? I was talking to my grandma last night. I went and gave her a visit. Thick neurobases. And what? F? What's it called? But yeah, we were talking about wanting to hardcore kicks. What genre is hardcore? You guys gotta help me out here. What's it called? What was I talking about? Yeah, so we were talking about going to Japan, and we were talking about visiting Osaka. And I don't know if you all know this or not, but in Osaka, there are these deer that roam around freely, and there are these little feeders on the sidewalk where, if you get some deer feed or whatever, the deers will bow to you. Or if you wait, it's the other way around. If you bow to the deers, they will bow back, and then you can feed them, which is fucking insane. Oh, like hardstyle kicks? I can try. I'm not that great at those, but I could try. You would be in a major minority, but I can try to make a couple for you. Nara in Japan. I'm pretty sure it's Osaka. I was just talking to somebody else about that too. Osaka deer. Oh, it's Osaka Nara Deer Park. Gotcha. I've never been. If you've been, I'm very jealous. But it says Osaka Nara Deer Park. How to get to Nara from Osaka. Nara is even closer to Osaka than it is to Kyoto. As in the case with Kyoto, you can choose between the JR line and the private Kintetsu line. I'm not pronouncing that right. The Kintetsu line is faster of the two lines, and this is the best choice without traveling without a JR rail pass. Pretty neat. Yeah. Hello, Evan. What's good, everybody? Alright, let me switch over. I'm feeling cute today, so I'm going to be on stream. Hi. My dogs are feeling frisky today, so they'll be all over the place. It's a little bit dark, though. Yeah? I'm going to open up my window. Open up your window. Sure, Buckshot would love to stare at the birds through the window. Alright, Buckshot. Oh, I almost died. Okay, so what do you all want to start with today? Do we want to do drums and percussion, or would you like to start with bass? Does anybody have any sound design questions? Does anybody have anything that they would like to explore in general. Text message. Coffee. Dearest coffee. Abbott, it's pretty late for you, isn't it? Thanks for popping in and saying hello. Alright, well, I don't want to wait for answers. So let's start off with Keck. Just kidding. I think that if I'm gonna do a couple thunks first. You thought that I have short hair? No, I have locks. Long locks. I just put my hair up a lot. Oh, it's only 9? Okay. Yo, Evan, I appreciate that, like, you also converted into the 12-hour time cycle as opposed to a 24-hour time cycle. Because I think that, like, I want to say the U.S. is the only, like, we're the only country that does that as opposed to the 24-hour cycle. So, thanks. I really appreciate that. Okay, so let's do some keks. Let's get some thumpers in there. Alright, let's do one a little bit longer. That's kind of cool. Okay. Not much else is needed with that. Grab a saturator. I'm assuming that these are the kinds of kicks that most people are going to want. Just hard thumpers, which I'm not mad about. Yeah. So what's going on in your guys' production? Give me something to talk about, so that way I don't just get involved in this, because this is kind of like a task that I don't need to concentrate that that closely to. Thunk. Thunk. I mean, it's safe. It is safe to assume that these are the kinds of kicks that people want, right? Making 808 out of 606 kicks. All you gotta do is add that 202, man, and you got what you want. Hey! For real? You bargain at? Glitches? Like, what kind of glitches? Man, I woke up today and, like, I don't party or anything. I don't, like, smoke or drink, but I woke up today like, fuck. What is going on? Okay, so this is going to be for you guys for the most part. So, do you guys want the tail of these kicks or do you want them without? Like, do you guys want Do you guys want these to be more so 808s, or do you guys just want these to be thumps? Because this is easy to fix. Have too many glitches. Um, like, so okay, so I came out with a pack called Ether, and it was a drum pack. And the way that I designed it meant to tails, please. Okay, so the way that I designed it was so that way, like, it's not like ready for you to throw. I should have explained this, but it's not ready for you to just throw in the DAW and then start using. You can, but it was meant to be like one of those things that is like a great sound, and then you can like not have to put too much work into sculpting it, but it has these different options that like customization characteristics to it that you can use in order to make like your own drums out of it. It was really bad marketing. That was the first pack that I ever put out, but do I know if it's a Pro L bug that it can't handle limiting something with a big frequency gap? That happens when you limit, for example, a tune with mostly sub and high percussion. I think that it depends on how fast your limiter is working, right? So, but that almost seems like a. I'm a fan of short, fat kicks. Um, okay. Sorry, coffee is just like drink me. That's kind of odd, David, because I feel. Are you talking about frequency, or are you talking about volume? Because if you're talking about volume, that's more so of what a limiter handles as opposed to frequency content. So if you have if you have something like, let's say your sub is really loud and then like your highs are really not loud, um if your limiter has too long of an attack and your release is too long, then it is going to start to clip in that way. But that does seem kind of odd that Pro L is behaving in that way. And I would say the first thing to look for is by using the advanced settings here of the transients in a release, because it doesn't handle frequency like it doesn't treat frequency constant. It primarily looks at things from a volume perspective. So for example, that's this isn't distinguishing frequency constant. It's primarily distinguishing what's happening just on volume. So what I'm thinking is, instead of you having low and high frequencies, I think that your lows and your highs are like too contrasting, and it's making your limiter work harder than it needs to. It's hard to tell though. I mean, you might be right, but I don't. I feel like that's what that would be, as opposed to frequency issues. Okay, so Zenkaso likes short fat kicks, but the thing is like, even if I give you a really long like or tailed kick, you can just fade the end. I tried tweaking the settings, but in the end you would have to tweak them to a point where it's not making any sense. Yeah, I wish that I. It's kind of hard without context, right? But that's kind of strange. Okay. So like, even if you were to bounce this kick out though, the only thing that you would have to change in order to make it short is to just cut the tail off. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Putting a soft clipper like Sir Standard Clip instead of a limiter works though. So it might be that your transients are too hard then. I use both whenever I'm doing stuff like this. But wait, you're putting a clipping or a clipper on your master? I mean, by no means am I saying don't do it. That's just not a typical. It's not a typical practice. All right. Let me see if I can get away with just a little bit more. Some tails you don't want. Like, I wouldn't personally want that. That sounds good to me. You put Sir standard clip before the limiter on the master sometimes. I think it would make sense to do on your drum bus, but eh. Actually, if you're using a glue compressor and like an Ableton or something, and then you activate the soft clip, that would make sense too. Especially with deeper D&B tunes, as the issue with percussion happens very often there. Yeah, you have to be careful because, like, well, I'm telling you, but you obviously make much better drum and bass than I do. But you have to be careful because of how many transients are in drum and bass, right? So I think I think what's happening, especially now that you mentioned in terms of drum and bass, is that like you've got low end transients and then you've got like high end transients, right? So if you have too many transients within your tune, that would make sense why your limiter is working too hard. So then it would make sense for you to use a clipper because that would flatten everything out to where you can push your limiter up and it wouldn't have to work as hard. That makes total sense to me. But I would do that more so on your drums as opposed to the actual master, but who's to say, right? Somebody just followed. Thank you, whoever just followed. Yo, THC Rain, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the follow. Did I get an alert for that? Okay, cool. I just ran that again, just in case. This will be free. This will be free. But I think that what I'm going to do, guys, is I think I'm going to have it as a timed free thing. So if you guys are put, I'm going to leave it free for 30 days. And then after 30 days or whatever, then I'll make it like fucking $5 or something. I didn't realize that the abhorrent mech pack was going to take off the way that it has. So I'm going to leave that pack to be free, but I think from now on I'm still going to put out free packs because I like giving things out, but I'll probably do like a timed free thing. So if you catch it early, then yeah, I can't argue with that. You're absolutely right. It is context. Remember to OTT your OTTs. Hotception. Yeah, now you speak in my language. Can totally agree with that. Alright, so that's this kick. I think this one is fine. Coffee, I'm jelly. Yo, so I made a post about this on the YouTube community page a while ago. But dude, getting a reusable coffee Keurig pod was like the best thing ever. I went to the store and for $12 US, I bought a 2-pound bag of coffee. That thing has lasted me more than 6 months. And like, I don't have 3 cups of coffee a day. Like every once in a while, I might have 2 cups of coffee, but I still have a coffee every day. And my gosh, it's just like compared to like actual Keurig pods, and like never mind the fact that they're terrible for the environment, right? But I went from do I have drum fills in there already? No, so far the requests, like, I'm just starting this today, so I'm not, everything that I've released, that I'm going to put out for this pack is going to be from scratch. But I can try to fit a couple of those in there, but I'm not really going to do, I'm going to have some drums, but I don't know if I'm going to do, like, drum fills, because I feel that like you should do drum fills with the drums that belong to your tune. That makes sense. And plus those are BPM dependent. But maybe, yeah, maybe we'll see. I suck down 3 or 4 cups a day. The reusable Keurig pots are pure amazing. I totally agree, man. So yeah, sorry. I went from regular Keurig pots, and I was like, man, this is really bad for the environment, and it's really expensive. And then I went to the compostable ones, which are significantly cheaper. But then I found the reusable Keurig pod, and I was just like, man, what have I been doing? So that's really good stuff. Really good stuff. Yeah, that is a personal philosophy of mine, though. That I think that like as far as drum fills and stuff, you should, unless if you're talking about like acoustic fills and all that. But I can't possibly make like the ultimate pack and give it out for free, right? I mean, I suppose I could, but I would I would most likely ask for support if I was going to do something that ambitious. I wish I had all the time in the world to make everything, anything and everything that was your production needs. I really do. Um, it's not very realistic though. Okay, so now let's do a different kick. So I think I'm going to close out of this. Am I going to make melodic stuff in this pack, like synth loops or one shots? So right now, as far as the requests that I'm focused on, we've got kicks, snares, pads and soundscapes, risers, grainy glitches, whatever the fuck that means. I think that probably just means like transient glitches or something, which is what that seems like. So that will be fun. This will be like this will be the easiest thing. What plugin do I prefer for drums? It depends. It depends. I think it's more so of the processing that goes into it as opposed to the generator, if that makes sense. For example, Kick 2 is great because it streamlines everything. But if you go and you take the time to just make a kick in Serum and you have that as a preset, that's totally fine. Like I have I have a phase plant kick maker and a snare maker, I believe. Kick. Hardstyle kick bass. Kick 808-ish. Oh, this must have been for something else. But to me, it's more so of the processing that goes into it as opposed to like what's the best synth. Because to be honest, I could throw just about any kick in here and make something out of it. That will work. That's fine. I'll have to change some parameters to this or whatever, but I mean that works. Okay, this one doesn't yet. That's because it's too long. Oh no, not that one. I always pull this one out, man. We're making drums from addictive drum samples for samples I like. Yeah. So like my very first video that I uploaded to YouTube was how to make like DMB drums from addictive drums and Superior Drummer. But even on that, I show that it's more so about the processing because I show 3 different examples. I have one from addictive drums. I have one from Superior Drummer 3. I have one from Superior Drummer 2, and then I have one from a sample of just like a like a drum loop or whatever. But it's all about the processing that you put into it. That's pretty nice. think I saw those back in the day. Back in the day. But yeah, so through this, like now that this is set up, I can just, I'm not going to be that lazy with it. Because I'd like to do some different kicks and stuff too, but as you can tell, like I don't have to put that much effort into it. Shit. But sometimes with some of these things, like if you use like an acoustic kick or something that has stereo information in it, you kind of have to be careful, because my perfect basic kick for preset is a sine wave with 2 pitch envelopes, one for the general pitch and a sharp one for the transient. Yeah, so anything below like 100. Making kicks.
Recording to
Kicks are your friend. Yo, thank you so much for subscribing, Linton Portman. I really appreciate it. I'm so sorry that this. I'm sorry, but hopefully, this will make up for it with making interesting sounds. All right, so let's try a different style of kick. Yeah, I think like we can use that one too if we wanted to, just for funsies. So I think if I were going to, shit, that's not what I meant to do. That was habitual. If I were going to just make a kick, was that Samus in the Metroid? It was. It was. Okay, let me turn this other shit off. Oh, it is off. Okay. Alright, so if I were going to make a kick from Faceplant, we'd have a pitch envelope like this. Alright, maybe start this from 12. And then what I would do is I would have a noise oscillator as well. And this would be the transient for me. And I might even... Okay. So there's a couple different ways that you can shape a really cool kick out of this. Like one thing that you can do is obviously add distortion. Right? You can also bump up this to here. You want the kick to kind of sound like that. You can add a little bit more decay if you want. But this is pretty quiet, yeah? So one other thing that you can do that is kind of fun sometimes is you can add a wavetable. And you can give just a little bit of FM. Let's go over the top. Kind of like that, and you can play with the harmonic as well. So you're already starting to get kind of like some of that knocking feeling, right? But the big thing about it, in my opinion, is that, for one, boosting the fundamental, compressing the hell out of it, distortion, transient shaping, compression, EQ, distortion, compression, and you can play those in any number that you want. But long attack, long release. You can use a transient shaper. Alright, dude, gotta get back to work. Late shift sucks. Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. So now we can grab one of these. And I think that I'm also going to apply this to the gain right here. Maybe I'll do a different envelope, because this is going to help kind of shape this too. Have I found myself doing more in synth and less in post since getting into faceplant, or have your post chains stayed more or less the same? They're usually the same. I think for the most part, it's just because there are still certain plugins that I prefer, like, the character of, if that makes sense, that are out of the box. Like, sorry, I'm thinking. Like, I really like the characteristics of Bitwig Saturator. I really like the characteristics of the ROM reverb. I've recently found a free convolution reverb, which Faceplant doesn't have. I like the pitch shifter that's built in with Bitwig. So there's certain things that I like that still have the same character, but by all means, like, I totally, yeah, for the most part, I totally could just leave things within the box. The Ascension pack that I released, like, all the stuff, in my opinion, all the stuff that's in there, like the generative stuff, is, yeah, like, you don't need any post-processing. I've kind of developed, okay, without trying to sound like a dick, I kind of feel like I've developed my own sound, and there's a certain processing chain that I like to do to everything now that gives me that kind of, like, character and that kind of feel, if that makes sense, because I like it. But that's just me personally, yeah. So hey, don't knock my guitar over. I wouldn't appreciate that. Dude, for real? He can't even hear me, he's deaf. Fucking dog. But as you can see from here, like, now that we're shaping this, like, there's a lot of different stuff that you can do to it, of course. So, like, just by changing, like, the attack and the decay of these things, like, you have a lot to play with. Let me grab, actually, I can just do it right here. Do I have the oscilloscope pulled up? Oh, I do. Okay, I'm gonna borrow that a bit. Lost in making kicks. So this is like, this is an excellent jump off point. This isn't a great kick by any means, but as far as like doing external processing, like, yeah, I suppose I could if I wanted to. Like, okay, so the first thing that I would do is I could grab a frequency shifter. Frequency shifter, right? And then I'll just leave that blank for a second. And then what I would do is I'd grab a slice EQ. Hi, NX. How are you, dude? Okay. And then I'll just go and find F1. And then cut this off like so. Okay, I still want to see my oscilloscope, please. There we go. So from here, I can find another boost, maybe at like F3, wherever that is. There it is. Just kind of boost that up a little bit. Pull this down. Pull this off. Dude, thank you for bringing this up. I've never tried this before. I mean, I've never tried to make like a kick in the way that I usually do in Faceplant. Hey man, did I just change my hairstyle? It looks really cool on you. I love it. I've had long hair almost my whole life. But thanks. So yeah, now we can just duplicate. We're getting some phasing issues, but that's okay. We can fix it later. Phase issues. Okay, so now what do we need? Well, there's no soft clip, but that's okay. So now we need another transient shaper. Then we need some more compression. So let's use dynamics and let's see if we can blow this thing up. It's not, see, it doesn't quite give that same characteristic as you would the glue, but it can work, right? So now we would throw a soft clipper on, and I don't really know how the transient shaper clip works. The signal is clipped to dB. So it says that if I just clip this, then it will do that, but I don't know what kind of clipping this does. But that's not bad. Versus then I guess you would just push that up through a limiter again. So by using a combination of all that stuff, right, like, you can still get a pretty nice kick by processing in that way. And we haven't touched the frequency shifter yet, but if we did, then Like, that's not bad. You can always go back and start to... Like, it's not a bad kick. Oh, we did forget one thing. Which I don't think that this would be an issue, but for whatever reason... There you go. You got yourself a kick maker. Let's save that. Who suggested this? Well, nobody... TVUL kick challenge. Thank you for asking about that. So yeah, you can make a kick just by doing that. And then like if you wanted to switch things up or whatever, you can obviously change, change anything within this. I think that if you watched me make this patch, you would know how to change it, but on its own. Nice kick. The more distortion that you add, it gets nicer too. Sorry, now I'm just playing. So yeah, that's... Save that again. So, bounce that. There's another kick. We're missing the high end from the soft clipper, but that's okay. So now, just to have some fun, let's take the same kick that we made and throw it through all the processing that we did from before. So let me initialize all this. Yeah, everything else. The big thing with this stuff is just the EQ. Well, the saturation too, I guess, but whatever. It's fine. Okay. So now, sorry guys, you're getting all your kicks in F. I apologize. I mean, let's be honest. What other key would you make things in? It's already a solid hardcore kick. Okay, well, I'll bounce that one out and we'll call this one Avin's hardcore kick. Why that face, Wiggles? Okay, so for this one, I can just duplicate this and then change it accordingly. There's a kick right there. I like C because drop C has ingrained it in my mind that C is the heaviest key before tuning to mud at B. Yeah, well, I make everything in F because fundamentally, like, as far as frequency goes, like, that's like the hardest hitting, like, bass thing. JK though. Let's not, dude, just use a transient, or just use a frequency shifter if you guys want to change the tuning of the kick. Like, that one's not bad either. I might just bounce that one too. Okay. I spent half the afternoon polishing my frets, put that axe in C standard. C is great, but for synth bass, C is either too low or root or too high in my honest opinion. Fundamentally, it normally is. Like, as I guess it depends on the kind of music that you want to make, but so like I think the other day or not too long ago I was talking about that book that I read on like a comprehensive guide to electron. It's like producing for the electronic musician or something. Who the hell disliked my video? Really? Why would you do such a thing? Thanks a lot. Um, in any case, people say that F is the heaviest, but I don't understand what they mean. Is it the punchiest, or does it resonate with the human body more? So F feels like you feel F the most. It's okay. It was bound to happen eventually. I meant it honestly, no shade. I would use it with a bit of saturation on top for some slidey crunch. Wait, what do you mean? Oh yeah, yeah. No, I just bounced it just for poops. I think they might have disliked the video when I said that it was going to be a timed free pack. They were like, "Oh my god, he's not going to give it away for free forever." Ban him. Cancel him. Dang. That's nice. Roboticus, I think it sits in a nice place, pushes a lot of air, is high enough you can still dip down a whole step without turning into farts and can go up a fifth without sounding like a horn. I think that I want to say that E flat or D sharp is probably like D sharp to maybe G sharp. I need a sub pack now. I'm curious. Hey, if you want to buy mine, I'll sell it. I never use it. Um, um, it's in great condition. Look at that. What the fuck? All right, let me go back and fix some of this stuff. So I think that there's phase cancellation happening because the pole slope of this is in the same exact spot and it's too steep. I want to see if that fixes that. No, it doesn't fix that. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Huh. That's the sweet spot. Okay, let me hit undo a couple times on that. And then let me use another transient shaper on this to see if I can shape this now. Could be fixed with linear phase, maybe? Yeah, I'll try that in a sec. I mean, the transient's there, so it's not that big of a deal. And to be honest, if you were going to use an 808, this wouldn't matter anyways because you would want to make it sound like it's being sidechained, right? So as opposed to just like a it would actually you would actually this is what it would look like. This is what a sub would look like if it was sidechained anyways. But for the sake of for the sake of sake, for the sake of Saki. Okay, that doesn't help. Okay, let's see what happens if we do switch this over to linear phase. I usually don't use linear phase on EQs because it introduces a crap ton of latency. But let's see if that changes. I think it has something to do with whatever's going on in phase plant. Yeah, that's not fixing that. So let's go back into here and... Oh, you know what this is? This is the pump. I'm pretty sure that this is the pump. Good to know. I don't know what tip you were saying that off of, but... Oh, still there. Still there. I mean, this isn't a bad kick by any means, but... Oh yeah, the linear phase introducing latency. I didn't know that. Yeah, yeah. I used to, when I first got, like, Neutron and all those isotope plugins back in 2016, that's when I was, like, balling and I could afford any plugin that I wanted, because I was working shows. Oh, there we go. Okay. So now we can go back and shape this a little bit more too. Yeah, I put like a bunch of Neutron plugins and stuff on a tune that I was working on, and it was literally like 2 seconds late, and I was freaking out because I was like, what the hell is going on? All to find out linear phase stuff and Neutron in general from Isotope just wrecks your latency. Okay, so we want to squash this a little bit more if possible. So let's see if we can get away with a little bit more clipping. Try to even that out a little bit more. Yeah, look how much more headroom we've got now. The thing is, I bet half... Never mind. Okay, that's a good kick. I'm happy with that kick. Okay, but does this click? No. Okay, we're alright then. So, how many kicks do we have so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright. So I've got this saved. I'm going to pull kick 2 back up, and let's do some different kicks. Just because I think that I've made so many doofs, and I think that all the doofs sound the same, and to some degree, not sound the same, but they all have a similar characteristic. What I could do is I could try to back off of this a bit and try to use some acoustic kicks instead. So maybe in case if somebody wants something that has character, or maybe they want to just use the top end of the kick, that could be an option. It's really hard trying to make everybody happy, but we'll figure it out. That should work. For what it's worth, I've been switching my production for a much more organic direction lately. Can you describe what you mean by organic? Like using acoustic style samples, or? Yeah, that makes sense. For the most part, in drum and bass and like neuro tunes in general, depending on like if that's what you want to make, right? A lot of times, even if they're using like acoustic style like kicks and snares and stuff, they always layer a fundamental with like a clean short 808 or a clean short like digital kick slash snare anyways. So if you can kind of find a way to try to marry the two, then that will save you the trouble from having to layer, which is like, layering isn't that big of a deal, but for some reason, whenever I listen to people go like, oh, you gotta layer, you know, you have to layer, I'm like, I just want to use fucking one. And then if I want to variate, then I want to use another, but I don't want to spend like, I don't want to do 3 layers just to use that as like a single thing. I want to have a good foundation and then use other samples to kind of like place on top of it in case if I want to change the snare up or so, right? So this sounds pretty good, but I can tell that there's some stereo information in this. So if we look right here, I'm gonna turn that on. Okay, well there's no phasing in it, but which is good, but I have a hunch. Okay. 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 I am totally wrong. It still feels like there's some kind of hollowness to this though. Even though, yeah, okay, my ears are lying to me. This is why I like to use visuals sometimes, because visuals will prove your ass wrong sometimes. Whenever I use clipping, I try to like get as close as I can to clipping without it making it sound like it's just totally breaking. Well, except for snares. Snares I don't care. But that's not bad. Layering definitely plays into the whole sunk cost fallacy, where you have a sample and it sounds kind of meh, but you won't change it because you spent so much time layering it and fine-tuning it, right? I can attest to that. Okay, let's give that just a little bit more high-end. Let's make this dynamic. Alright, so that sounds pretty good. We need to turn it up here in a second. It's not bad though. It looks all kinds of fucked up though. True dat. Alright, so let's go back and take a look at what we're doing here. It might be because I'm forcing the sustain up out of this. But I still feel like it's, well, I guess that's just me always wanting to make something sound like it thumps, but if we look at this with just a regular EQ, it should have plenty of bite. Yeah. Quantum laziness. Panic? Did I drop frames? Are we dead? It says I'm okay. I think it's back. Okay. Kick too smexy for YouTube. I broke to kick. Okay, we're back. Yeah, it says that over the past 30 minutes I've dropped a few frames, but it hasn't been too bad. But I don't know why I'm dropping frames in the first place. So, what the fuck? Alright. Okay, so if anybody has Superior Drummer, I love Superior Drummer, but I fucking hate Superior Drummer. There's so many things that Superior Drummer gets right. But one thing that it doesn't get right is the fact that it's too flippin' quiet. It is so quiet. Like, why? Why is that so fucking quiet? Literally, like, even at boost, even being boosted by 12 dB, it's still just, ugh. Like, why? Alright, so let me, open the default template. Ridiculous. This makes it really annoying to work with. It's okay. There's your hardstyle kick. That sounds like a tom. It's so quiet, and I don't know why. Like, it's really annoying. Okay. Maybe because non-electric dinosaurs require insane amounts of headroom. Well, yeah, I can understand that, but at the same time, like if you compare Superior Drummer to Addictive Drums, so like, oh, let's just fucking do that. Okay. Okay, so this is just a. Can I upload like a default? Initialize. Okay, so without any processing, this is still way louder. Now, you might be saying, well, this is the same now, but you have to keep in mind that I boosted this signal by 24 dB. 12 dB plus another 12 dB over here. So if you initialize that, this is the kick versus this one. It's too much headroom. Too much headroom.